Alright guys, Kremp again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The drama continues with the Jackal Gentleman's Agreement, which continues, it seems, to come into effect over the last couple of days. The AR players in the league, big AR, have clamped down on this, and the SMG players may have not that much room for manoeuvre. ZooMaa reckons he doesn't know what these guys are playing at. Over the last few years, they've had some very interesting metas, and even when the pros have a decent meta, they seem to want to mess it up. ZooMaa says these guys have no idea what they're playing at. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. As always, I would greatly appreciate it. We'll crack right on here with the following. Shout out Omit, really, for all they've done in the Challengers pit, really, over the last couple of years, but they're bringing in another team. So they've got the Omit Brooklyn roster, Fellow, and those guys, we believe Neptune's going to the league, and this is going to be their secondary team, basically, in Challengers, and that involves aBeZy. So aBeZy is here on the roster. We saw the Pro Loot drama yesterday. That was very entertaining. But yeah, so here's aBeZy, Johnny, Hicksy, and Super. So pretty interesting team that they've put together here. I think they even said that, yeah, Hicksy will be there. Of course, he's dropped down from the Pro League. He has gone from Vancouver Surge to Omit, and Neptune has gone from, well, the other Omit teams up to Vancouver Surge, as is our understanding right now. But yeah, so Hicksy gone to this team instead. Johnny has been one of the, looking at one of the better players in Challengers so far, a player who, may get another opportunity. It's just, interestingly enough, over the last few years, it's typically been the SMG players that get signs because there aren't that many good SMG players in the league. This year, it's actually the AR players that are potentially more at risk just because the Jackal is very good. Many of the SMGs are having a good time with the Jackal in the league. There are some exceptions. Obviously, Hicksy's gone and some other SMGs struggling. But really, it's, a lot of the ARs maybe that are going to get the opportunities this year. So someone like Johnny would arguably have been very close to a league spot already in a previous season with the way that he played in Challengers so far this year. But this year, there's not going to be as many SMG players swapped out, probably. We're looking at more the ARs, potentially, in that position. That's why aBeZy and even the likes of Super maybe semi-confident about getting back in, but also Super would have maybe expected or certainly hoped that he might get back in after the most recent events. I'm sure going into it he thought, Heretics, here we go, they're home major, they've really got to deliver. And then of course Super just got his visa approved by Heretics to come over from Spain. So he arrived out there, he was probably expecting to get to the facility, and by the time the other team got back, Lucky would be benched, he'd be in the roster. But Lucky played very well at the major, and they obviously came top 3 in pretty remarkable fashion. So Super for now is in Challengers. aBeZy, Johnny, Hicksy, and Super. That is the team of 4, and obviously aBeZy pretty happy about the way that things are looking so far. So how's it going to go for aBeZy, right? Because here we are after Major 1, and a couple of teams are making changes. We've discussed them over the last few days. We'll see in a couple of days, obviously, when everything gets locked in, going into the Major 2 run. But, aBeZy doesn't seem to be in that conversation yet. Will he be after Major 2, for example? That is a conversation to have. We've got a Lion Man card to discuss in a second. I did see this going around yesterday as well. If you guys don't know this map, of course, this is Seaside from Black Ops 4. I think we've got Hacienda back already. It would be nice to see something else in BO4 as well. This actually wasn't my favourite map, to be honest. It was, to be fair, it was good for control. Hardpoint was pretty epic to watch on this map. I don't think it was maybe the best, but I did, to be fair. I love playing this map compared to the vast majority of maps in recent games. Just on this game, it actually wasn't my favourite. Arsenal, I loved Gridlock. I think Gridlock was brilliant. I'd love to bring that back into the game personally. Hacienda, of course. Frequency. The fact that Seaside was, in my opinion, the 5th best, 5th or 6th best map in the game, especially for competitive play, goes to show how good some of those other maps were. And they were boots on the ground maps. We could just bring them back. But maybe not yet, unfortunately. These are the Lion Man cards, though, from the Los Angeles Thieves. And this is a very interesting set of cards that deserves, I think, some deeper analysis, really, on where Thieves currently are and where they may potentially be able to go in the relatively near future. So, they came second this stage. Their Search and Destroy was only 8 in 12. To be fair, lots of those losses were against none other than Atlanta FaZe, but nonetheless, they were 10 in 4 in control, excellent in that mode, 16 and 8 in hardpoint, and negative in Surge. If they improve their Surge, it's going to be scary. So I think that's one of the main topics. We're going to begin, I guess, with discussion on Scrappy, because he's done it again with a 99 rated card. And I really do think what impresses me the most about this is the fact that Scrappy, ever since he's come into the league, has had every stage just incredibly good cards. Now, I know that it's not about KD, it's about kills per 10, damage per 10, and we know that Scrappy's a very fast AR, so he's going to get good numbers in these categories. But still, the fact that he's doing it stage on stage, ultra consistently, whatever the meta is. The AR isn't even that good this year, but it's actually Scrap and Ghosty really leading the line. Great stage, I thought, from Ghosty as well, and he's picking up the hill time, purple in that category that Scrappy isn't. Scrap is purple in S&D damage per round, purple in control kills per 10, and very near purple in the other stat categories as well, and is doing a lot of OBJ work in the control as well. So, incredibly impressive card from Scrap. Is there really any surprise? He's popped another 99, and he seems to be guaranteed a 97 plus almost every single stage. So, it's interesting for Scrap, I guess, for many. I know it's a Lion Man card, but people are going to compare his career and his consistency to many of the other top ARs, because, like, look, Cellium played very well this stage. Is Scrap the best AR in the game? I think you can very much argue for it. I think you could argue Dashy as well before the Major, but the Major, of course, for him was not especially good, but he was still very good this stage. You know, people are even starting to compare Scrap to many of the other greatest ARs in history, because Scrap is continuing to deliver generational performances every single stage on stage with ultra consistency. But, you know, he's won 2 events and he's got no rings. So until he gets a ring, there's always, you know, he's never going to be able to get to that conversation with someone like Formal, which obviously is way too early to discuss that, but you know what I'm saying, right? Even someone like Octane, for example. Octane's got a ring, Scrappy hasn't. If he does, when he does, maybe there's a conversation there to be had. Ghosty, very consistent as well, if you look at his numbers here, like 1.04, 1.04, 1.03. But the real elephant in the room in some respects is, well, Envoy, his kills per 10 minutes, not the best, really, in hardpoint, most for sure. And but to be fair, he is teamed with HyDra, who is always going to be good in that type of category. But purple in hill time per 10, purple in ticks per round for SMG players, Envoy, and he was great at the Major. But HyDra really the standout here, right? Because HyDra had his worst ever performance by a Lion Man card. Like, this is the weakest Lion Man card we have ever seen from HyDra. It's a 78 rating before the adjustment, right? So his hardpoint was fine, kind of what you'd expect. His control was weaker than normal, and it's just been his search and destroy which has been woeful, really. Like, if you look at the other numbers, if his search was normal HyDra levels for search, then his card would be rated similar to what a typical stage 1 HyDra card looks like. HyDra does tend to get better throughout the year, I think that's the key point. But his search was bad, I mean, like, basically bad in every single stat category here, really. And we know that famously, Game 7, Round 11, runs up, dies for no reason, and the team loses the round. So, you know, lots of reasons to criticize HyDra, but equally, LA Thieves fans will be looking at this licking their lips, because this is the worst version of HyDra we've ever had, really. Like, this is his worst ever Lion Man card, and I think one would expect that's probably going to get better over time. It typically does. Even last year on the subliners, his stage 1 wasn't great, then he got better with time. Yes, he's playing with better teammates now that are going to do more damage, there's fewer kills to go around, but still, this team lost Game 5 Round 11 and then Game 7 Round 11 to an incredibly good FaZe team. Like, the Tiny Terrors look unreal on this game. Cellium has been playing at maybe his best level in years. Drazah is excellent and very clutch. Like, that FaZe team is very scary, and this team was able to go, you know, to the wire with them, and maybe should have won on arguably both occasions, with HyDra not playing his best stuff. So I think that's why going into the season we talked a lot about the ceiling of this roster, and the fact that you look at last year, Scrap, Shotzzy, Simp and HyDra were the 4 best players. Now 2 of them are on the same team. So regardless of the way that you cut the cookie or whatever, like the crumble the cookie, as TJ would say, like, you look at the roster and the ceiling is mesmerizingly strong, and I know that Thieves fans, as I say, will be looking at this and saying, damn, if HyDra has a good stage, like, is anyone going to be able to stop it, I think is the bottom line. These, by the way, are Scrappy's cards over the last couple of seasons, and like 96, 95, 99, 93 is his worst ever, and since then it's been, I mean, like, the entirety of 2024 he had 99 cards, like, completely absurd, and then he's back at a 99 again. No surprises. Enter into your thoughts in the comments below. go. The other drama, though, on the Jackal and the SMG barrels and whatever's going on over here. We've seen this over the last few days, that the long barrel, the reinforced barrel is gone. GA'd, aBeZy and JoeDeceives talked about it. They can use the gain twist. Many of the pros have not been happy about this. We saw that O4 mentions that Real and I are taking a stand against it. He reckons they're not going to follow the GA. We've got some other AR players basically saying, oh, well, you know, if you guys not going to follow the GA, we're going to take a stand. We're going to GA another gun. We're going to get rid of the C9 as well. We're going to get rid of all of this stuff. But yeah, ZooMaa says he doesn't really know what these guys are talking about, right? So I think, like we mentioned this before, we'll definitely talk about it again in due course. The decisions that some of these pros make in certain instances. We saw this at the start of the season when loads of the ARs were getting bans. And sure, the Model L was strong. Don't get me wrong. The Model L, a very strong weapon. But they banned it like 2 days into the game. And now it turns out the Jackal's too good. And what are they going to do? Are they going to bring back an old gun? Are they just going to get rid of this gun? And as ZooMaa says, this meta that we've had is actually pretty damn good. I also think it's good to watch. I think that's the other point. Sure, maybe the Jackal is too strong and the AR players aren't very happy about it. But is the game more fun to watch with more SMGs on the map? I think the answer is yes. And that is a factor. It's not a big factor that the pros will care about, but it is a factor. Like, I prefer the games where we see more SMG play. It's generally more entertaining. I would prefer there to be, you know, the flex player is going from an SMG to an AR with 2 SMGs on the map in addition, rather than the flex being from an AR to an SMG with only 1 primary SMG on the map.
Why the fuck I'm hearing a Jackal GA? Is there actually a Jackal GA? What's going on? Why are we GA to Jackal? Why are we GA? What was wrong with the meta? We had 2 ARs and 2 subs, and then you have that third AR switching to a third sub, right? Flexing. Okay, certain hills and certain maps. Yeah, 4 subs because it's so close quarters. But what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? The meta was fine. The meta was fucking fine. Well, we're not happy. We're not happy now because the sub's too good, because the submachine guns. I don't understand. Where are the sub players? Why are the sub players letting this happen? What's going on? Renegade coming in out of the demo. What a pleasure. Excellent. But what the hell are we doing? Bro, what was wrong with the meta? Somebody tell me what was wrong with the meta. Oh, this guy. Look at this guy in the chat. Fucking Danny boy. 4 Jackals is dumb. Brother, that ain't gonna change. Okay, that's not changing. The reason why you're seeing people pull out 3-4 Jackals because some hills, right, or some places on a map are close quarter combat, brother. It don't matter what you're doing. It don't matter how you do the GAs or what's going on. If people are gonna pull out subs for certain hills, for certain things, because it's close quarter combat. Just like on Protocol, you're watching Jackal players pull out the aBeZy. No? True or no? True or false? True or false? Have we not seen Jackal players pull out the aBeZy on certain situations and certain maps? Vault control the street hill. I've seen Jackal players pull out ARs for the street hill as well, right? I've seen that happen as well. What are we doing? We finally have a game where we have 2 submachine guns, 3 subs, because that flex player is actually switching to a sub now, which is how it should be. The flex player should be constantly changing between an AR and a sub. That's what makes a true flex, okay? And this whole 4 Jackal bullshit, bro, 4 Jackals happens like every once in a while, depending in certain scenarios. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I like ZooMaa's take, really, that the flex player in this game, as it stands with the meta as it was, is actually a flex. Sure, in very specific circumstances, 4 Jackals may be viable, but not very often and not for many teams with the way that the game presently was. The AR was still good, Scrappy still a 99 rated card, like it's not that OP, you could argue, and from the, you know, flex perspective, I, you know, missed the days of World War II when players like Gunless, and even to be fair, MW19 was partly true on this, where you could kind of use either an M4 or an MP5, but I missed the days where, you know, SMG players to AR players would be real flexes. You know, in the last few games, it's been the flex gun, and the flex gun is basically just the AR. Whereas in this game, different teams, based on the certain hardpoint locations, the flex player will have to swap between using an SMG and using an AR. And that's good to see. They'll do it mid-map, they'll do it certainly mid-series, and you really get to see, as Gunless was back in World War II, which players can use both weapons to a very high degree of efficacy. And I think it does add a bit of a skill gap to certain teams. However, the ARs don't like it. The flex players, they don't want to be flexers, they just want to be the second AR again, and maybe that's how it's going to conclude. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.